All right, fuckers. Here we are. Are you seeing me now here? All right. This is, we haven't done this in a while. Live Justin.tv video report. A lot has changed with this Justin.tv interface since last I used it. Boy, it's weird. Looks like it's probably better quality, but I think it's working. Well, how can you help? I just need to know if you can hear me and see me, everything. I'm all right. Good quality. No lag. You can hear me talking, hear my voice. It's not distorted. Doesn't sound like fucking Darth Vader or something. But you can see me. You can hear me. I can see you and hear you. All right. Thank you, DJ. All right. Excellent. All right. Excellent. All right. Well, that's good news then. Well, hey, well, welcome, Late Night Denzians. You know, my chat room stream, I mean, my, not chat room stream, the chat room's been working quite all right. Thank you very much. But, you know, the stream for the network, it was down almost all weekend. It was down all day Saturday, and it was down again today almost all day. I tried to do a show. It was a productive day. Nonetheless, I got a lot done and had a great conversation with Lee Rogers this evening before his show. We talked about some different things that we're going to be doing on our up-and-coming films, both on my film, The Secret Ride Volume 2, and on his new film, which is actually going to be kind of a parallel to the Secret Right series of films. It's going to be basically Lee Rogers' own take and his own research and his own sort of end on, you know, the CMP and the phony patriots and the rest of that stuff. So give me just a second here. I want to try and see if I can get back, because this is, like I said, this is totally different than it used to be for me. And there was a page. There used to be a page on this thing where you could go onto my channel, and on my channel there was the little chat room on the side, so I could be, you know, talking, interacting. And now I don't see that. I haven't used this thing in fucking probably a year, and it's maybe even longer than that. It's been a long time. God, was it really 2008 last time I used this thing? Where is the fucking time gone? Jeez Louise, really? Has it almost been 2 years since last time I really used this? That's bizarre. But nonetheless, I'm going to try to attempt to do, I really wanted to do this, and I wanted to do this for a while, and I wanted to have something like this where we could archive it and have it up on YouTube. And I really want to start doing this more, because for some reason, I don't know, these kind of things get people's attention a lot more than every day doing radio shows. It's like I can do, you know, dozens and dozens of great radio shows day in and day out every day and get up there and give it my all. And then I put out a video, and then all of a sudden, you know, it gets more attention or more shit. I don't know. I'm almost to the point where I gauge the quality of what I'm putting out as to the amount of hatred, negativity I get to it. Because it's funny, you know, I can do pretty average news shows, and I've talked about this before, but I can do pretty much average news shows for a period of time, and won't really hear much about it. And then I'll do one or two shows where I start talking about certain topics, and boom, lo and behold, everybody and their mother wants to come out and attack me. So I don't know. We'll have to see here, but bear with me. I'm going to try and keep this thing going without having to without losing the feed, because I want to get back to this thing where I want to get back to to my channel. That's all I'm trying to fucking do here. There's my, okay, here we go. All right, so I see what it is. It's giving me, oh, what the fuck is this shit? I think I'm putting commercials on this shit now. Video begins in 11 seconds. I have to sit through a commercial for my own video to start. Wasn't that nice? There we go. All right. Now I'm seeing the chat room. Now I'm seeing this. I'm seeing the moon bat back there in the background. All right. All right. This looks like this could be a little bit better here. So we'll go with this. All right. So join us in there. We got, hey, we got 4 viewers, which is more than I expected to have. So thanks to the late night chat room Denzians in there. So, but anyway, and well, the cool thing is this thing sends out an automated email message. We have 119 people who have favorited us. So if some of those people happen to be up, I'm sure Diamond Adams will probably pop in if he sees the thing. Yeah, there's Rick, there's Manhunter. But anyway, hopefully, and they used to have an option where you would set it to record. It didn't give me that option. So hopefully this will record and save in the archives and give us something that maybe we can download and edit down. It's interesting because I was trying to set this up with my high def camera to use it. And for some reason, even though it's a newer camera, my high def camera does not have the option to be able to use it as a webcam. But my older camera, which is the one I've used on all my other films, 9/11 New World Rising, Secret Right 1, and it's a great camera. It's got three CCD lens, so it picks up colors and everything very bright. You got to have a lot of light for all these cameras. I don't know what it is. But anyway, this one works great for the webcam, but then the high def one won't work at all, which I think is just strange. So, but nonetheless, I want to talk about this, and I'm sure you guys will hear me more talk about it, but I want you to kind of hear me describe this, and I'll do my best to describe to you as best I can, because this is going to be, I think this has the makings of being a fucking huge story, man. Probably one of the biggest stories I've ever broken yet in my career as radio host, documentary filmmaker, and the rest of it. I got a call tonight from my friend Zach Pohl. He's a musician. Some of you have been listening to my show for a while. I've played some of his tunes on my show before. I think I might have played some on the network. He's a great singer-songwriter from here. I've known him for a couple of years. And just recently, him and his wife have been really interested in these type of topics, and they come over and they come over about once a week, and we have, like a discussion night, and we kind of sit around and hang out and drink and well, they don't drink, but we drink, and we sit around and talk about info, because it's great, because they're really receptive to all the info, because they don't, they really don't know anything, but they know a bit, and they here and there, like they for instance, they had seen, like, I think they'd seen something like Zeitgeist, they'd seen a couple of my films and whatnot, so they had these questions, and Zach had called me tonight because him and his band are about to go in the recording studio, and they don't have a place to rehearse right now. So they asked me if they could use my room. Our room and our rehearsal space for our band, the Demigods, is my room, and this studio, and it's also my bedroom, but it's a big room. And he asked me if he could use the spot and all that, and I said, yeah, sure, whatever, no problem. And after he asked me that, then he proceeded to say, hey, and I couldn't hear him very well, and I don't own a phone. I don't own a cell phone, refuse to own one. I very rarely do I ever even use one. The only time I'll ever use it is if I absolutely have to talk to somebody. And I was talking to my friend Zach, and he said, he's sort of breaking up and screaming, I can't really hear what he says, and he says, well, I have this friend of mine, he's a music composer, and I'd called him a few weeks ago, and he was busy, and he said, yeah, I'll call you back, and then he never called me back, and I didn't hear from him. And then he called me back today, and he said, hey, man, I'm sorry I didn't get back to you before, but I had this last-minute thing where I was contacted to come and compose some music at this place in Northern California called the Bohemian Grove. And, of course, Zach, he immediately knew about the Bohemian Grove, but this guy, this friend of his, whoever he is, I don't know who he is. He's a friend of Zach's. Immediately, this guy is not a truther. He's just a music composer. He has no idea what the Bohemian Grove is. He's not in the elite, but I guess he's a well-known composer or a decent composer. So they asked him to come and compose this music for the rituals, for the cremation of care, and for all the stuff out there. And I couldn't hear all of the information that Zach was trying to relate to me. He's coming over tomorrow night to, I guess, finish telling me more of the story. But he had related to me that essentially, he went to the Bohemian Grove in Northern California. the stuff the stuff that Zach was telling me over the phone, which again I couldn't hear very well. What I'm gonna do is when he comes over Wednesday night, I'm gonna record everything Zach says. Zach's gonna give me the verbatim what this guy said, and then we're gonna work on trying I'm gonna work on trying to see if this guy will go on the record. If he wants me to mask his voice, I'll mask his voice. If he wants to do text only, I'll do text only. If he wants to do video and block his face out, I'll block his face out. But the thing is, what I think is highly interesting, and I'll get to some more of the details in just a minute, he wasn't made to sign anything. He wasn't told ever once, don't tell anybody what you did here, what you saw here, what went on, nothing. At least from what I understand initially, or at least as far as he related, maybe he did see some, weird stuff and didn't really relate it to Zach. But from what he told me so far, he said, again, this guy was not a truther. This guy doesn't know. This guy didn't even know the Bohemian Grove existed before he was asked to go there to compose the music. And he said it was just music everywhere. He said music was going the whole time. And what's interesting about that is that music is one of the major things that is used to conjure spirits out of the spirit world, vibration, sound. This is one of the major things. And he said that there was a huge focus put on music and sound. And he said everywhere he went, the whole time he was there was music going of some kind. And he said that another bizarre thing that happened was he was, supposed to be doing classical pieces and classically arranging and conducting orchestral type of pieces, because they have, on top of the Creation of Care, they also have these, you guys have seen those pictures, they're like guys in fucking fairy outfits flying around, that's the kind of stuff that they do. They always have those there every year. These guys take it very seriously. It's something they have all the time. It's part of the ritual. And, but he said on top of that he thought it was odd that the country superstar singer, Clint Black, was there. And I always thought that was a salty fag anyway. I always thought that guy, he just always looked like a queer to me. He's all kind of clean cut and kind of, hey, I'm Clint Black. Hey, you know what I mean? So he said he was there. And he said that it was divided into 8 different camps, which we know. There's like the Mandalay camp, and I think that's the Rockefeller camp is the Mandalay camp. There's several others, but he said that and I'm going to verify this. It could have been just that Warren Buffett was there and he saw him. But from what I understand, whatever camp this gentleman stayed in, I believe from what Zach told me on the phone, again, it was kind of garbled. I'll verify this tomorrow. This guy he knows stayed in the same camp as Warren Buffett. And some other guys. He said the guy that owns the Washington Post. That's Warren Buffett. He owns the Washington Post. But he said he saw the owl and some other things. So that's all I know. Again, this is coming to me third party. This is a friend of a friend. I said something, can I interview this guy? He said he didn't know if I'd be able to interview this guy, but he said he might be able to get more information out of him, and he would be willing to tell him things that he could tell me that I could relate to the audience. Either way, just from the stuff that he's telling me so far, it sounds to me like we may actually get some information. I mean, the stuff that I can't even remember everything Zach was telling me because I was just, I was fucking freaking out, man. I was I was overwhelmed. He's rattling shit off night and other because he's excited and hooped up. What do you do when an acquaintance or a friend gets on the phone and tells you that he just got back from the Bohemian Grove and he's never heard of it? Hey, sorry I didn't get back to you, man. I was at this kooky place out in Northern California. It's called the Bohemian Grove. Hey, you ever heard of it? Yeah, I've heard of it, motherfucker. Yes, I've heard of it. Yes. I mean, what are you going to do? So he calls me immediately, and he's freaking out, to me, saying, oh, you're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe this. My buddy just called me. He's a composer, and the reason he didn't get back to me in touch with me before is because he was at the Bohemian Grove. So I'm going to try and get what I can get out of this. I mean, this could turn out to be a huge story because some of the stuff that he was relating to me thus far seemed to be not really the run-of-the-mill stuff. Now, of course, there were some things in there that he was saying that was things that we already know. Maybe that's why I'm having stream problems. Well, I don't think that would be why I'm having stream problems. Rick, because I was having these stream problems until long before I found out about this information. I didn't find out about this information until 10 o'clock tonight or something like that. I think it was about 10 o'clock when my buddy Zach called me. So the stream started going down Saturday. It was down a lot of the weekend. It was down all day today. It very well could be somebody at one of those networks like that messing with stuff. It seems to me, again, every time I start getting into certain topics, that's when we start to see these things. And like I said, I had a conference with Lee Rogers tonight as well. It's kind of a crazy day. I was working on the film, working on the Secret Right, and doing some research. Got my show prepped. The network was running great, and right about the time, this happened both times, right about the time I got ready to go live with the show, I happened to look down. I think it actually was you, Rick, was the first person I noticed that said that it was down. Hey, what's going on with the stream? And I didn't even know at that point. So I looked down, and it was something was going on with it. It never came back up. And the other thing about it that's weird is that only the stream. There's 4 different servers that this server company or this server farm, whatever it is, offers. There's 4 different ones: SS1, SS2, SS3, SS4. I'm on the SS3 server, and that's the only one that ever goes down. None of the other ones are ever down. So I think what's happening is that they're pinging the server, they're hitting that server, and because this company is essentially automated, I mean, I've had 2 or 3 open support tickets, and they never give me any support or any automation back. There was one time I got a response back from a ticket that I'd opened. It was 2 weeks later. They were like, "We have resolved your issue. Thank you very much for your support." Yeah, thank you very much, you motherfucker. 2 weeks later. It very well could be that. I mean, it seems a bit odd, the timing of it, and there's a lot of spook stuff going on right now, tons of it. In fact, tonight Lee was like, "Hey, go check in my chat room. Go look in there. There's feds running around everywhere in there." And I went in there, and I'll be honest with you, it really it didn't seem out of the ordinary for me, not for Oracle. It's the same shit. It was like I warped back in time, dude. It was the same shit that was going on in those fucking chat rooms at Oracle 2 years ago. It was the same shit that was going on. And they used to always demonize me and make me out to be the bad guy because I wouldn't put up with that shit. I would fucking nuke people, nuke their IPs, bam, 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 fucking slapping bans on motherfuckers. And you see what happens in my chat room. I mean, I can't even go in somebody else's chat room because I can't even deal with that shit, man. It's like, why does it have to be like that? Why does it have to be? And I know what it is. It's because these guys don't do shit. They don't do anything. They don't know how to do anything but just shit talk. And I was talking to Guyman Adams about this the other day. There's become this whole subculture online now. It's very sad. And I think these people are worse than the people who spend 14 hours a day playing World of Warcraft or StarCraft 2 or something. Really, I think these guys are worse than that. There's this whole subculture now of just haters, for lack of a better term. I mean, I don't know what else you call them. They're haters. All they do is troll internet forums, troll chat rooms 24 hours a day and hate on you or whoever is in front of the microphone or the camera at that moment, whatever it may be, whatever the person is or whoever the person is that's doing something or anything at that moment, they're the target. And what did they ever do themselves? Nothing. But there's this whole subculture of people like that, and I'll tell you, it was the same fucking people. It was like a who's who's. I had Lee laughing because it was like a who's who's list of all the people I've ever banned from chat rooms in my whole life. I'm not kidding. That's what seriously, that's what the fucking list of chatters in his chat room was when I went over there. I was like, yep, banned him, kicked his ass to the curb, banned him 9 times, banned 6 of his screen. And it was just like it was like a who's who's list of everybody that I ever banned, and they're sitting there doing the same shit, and it's like those are the type of people that sit around and say, "Oh, nobody ever does anything. Nobody ever offers solutions." Blah blah blah. What solutions are you offering? Sitting in a chat room hating on people, and they were all throwing a fit because I guess Lee decided not to take phone calls now. And I'll be honest with you, Not to give away too much of our private conversation, but I'll be honest with you, I encouraged him to do that. I'm not going to say that I was 100% responsible for it. Lee makes his own decisions. He's his own man. But I said, look, because I kind of made that decision. I tried the phone thing with our network. I tried taking on the cost of that. We barely get in enough money and enough support every month. We squeak by barely. I'm so broke right now. It's ridiculous. We just paid the bills. And I still got like $100 in late fees and shit I got to pay. But anyway, I got no money. Luckily, my sister and her boyfriend bought dinner tonight, so I was able to squeak by today. But, man, I tell you what, that's the same thing. It's like I got people bitching and moaned forever when I started the Global Reality Radio Network. Because they didn't have phone lines. I'd get emails all the time. I'd get people bitching and pissing in the chat room, sending me all kinds. I mean, I'm serious. It was a ton of it. So finally, I bit the fucking bullet and got the money together, got an 800 number, got a number to call in, got all that stuff, and fucking nobody called. And then it was just a logistical nightmare, and it kind of sounded like shit. It was sounding good on the streams, but it would sound echoey on the other end. So I just said, fuck it. And I told Lee, I said, you got to boil it down like this. Is it enhancing your show? Do the phone calls enhance your show? Do they make it a better program? Do they make it a better broadcast? Does it make it more informative? Or is it the same goddamn motherfucking thing it was a year ago, 2 years ago, which is fucking Dave and Mass. Hey, which way did he go, George? Hey, George. Hey, George, this is Dave in Massachusetts calling, George. Hey, yeah, I don't have a point tonight, but I'm gonna sit on here on the line for a while. I mean, god damn it, Dave, get to a fucking point. That guy, motherfucker, used to call me when I first started on air. He called me on every goddamn radio network I've ever been on. TrueNet Radio, RBN, fucking WTPRN, Oracle, Blog Talk, it didn't fucking matter. Everywhere I turn, there's fucking Dave. And then the other classic. Oh, yes, thank you very much indeed, Mr. Josh. This is Mo in Oregon. I am here to tell you that I am with Al-Qaeda. No, I'm not with Al-Qaeda. I'm here to tell you that I love Alex Ansari, and I want to go on a date with him and make sweet Muslim love to him. or hey, this is Snake Man up here in Canada. Yeah, I'm off my meds again, and just want to call and tell you to fucking die, Reeves, die. No, I'm just kidding. I love you, man. I love you so much. Oh, I love you. Seriously, that was. I mean, that is my greatest memories of taking phone calls when I was on Oracle. And I listened to one of Lee's shows last Thursday or something, and I'll be goddamned. He waited the whole fucking show to go to calls, and when he finally went to calls at the end, I'll be goddamn if it was exactly that scenario I just described you. I'm not kidding, man. And then, so I was like, goddamn, nothing's changed. And then tonight, I was talking to Lee between breaks on Skype, and I was saying, told him about the Bohemian Grove stuff, because I told him, hey, look, if I get this info, I want to break it on Rogue Government, that's the website I choose to break it on, I want to break it on Rogue Government. If we break it anywhere, we're going to break it there, and because that'll, we can expose Jones 7 ways to Sunday, but if we scoop him on a big story like this, it's going to shine his ass worse than fucking exposing him. You know it. That's the one thing he fucking fears worse than being exposed is getting scooped on a story like this. And I'll tell you what, if it turns out to be what I think it's going to be, maybe it's not, but I mean, this guy's going to give unbiased testimony of what he saw because, he was just hired to come there. He was brought in as a guest. He was brought there to do a job. So he's probably going to give. And he said, another thing he said was that no money was exchanged. They wouldn't allow any money to be exchanged. Whatever you wanted, you could have drinks, food, whatever you wanted, and you just signed for it. That's all you had to do. I'm sure the American taxpayer is probably picking up the tab on that one, if I had to venture a guess. But, yeah, I guess it's kind of like Burning Man or kind of like Rainbow or something like that, I imagine. But I don't really think that's the same thing. I think it's more the fact of what I just said. I think it's more the fact that the goddamn taxpayers are picking up the check, and it's a big joke. Oh, get whatever you want, man. You can have. We got some 100-year-old scotch in here and some Peruvian blow. You can have whatever you want. Taxpayers are paying for it. We ain't got to worry about it. Hey, Buffett's fucking floating the bill this year. You know that motherfucker's got some change. Hey, Buffett, can we get another round of blow over here off my fucking male stripper's ass? Thanks, bud. Appreciate you. Tell Bill Gates I said, what's up? Oh, ho, 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 ho. The governor will come and get some of that blow, too. But I don't know. Maybe we'll get some decent intel. And so back to what I was talking about with Lee and I were talking about the films, because, again, he's going to be doing a film that's very similar to the stuff I've done with Cigarette Volume 1 and Cigarette Volume 2. And so he's kind of like, well, some of our footage will probably overlap. We'll probably have some of the similar, footage in both of our films. Is that a problem? I'm like, no, it's not a problem. I mean, there's very little footage for the type of stuff on this film anyway. It was hard enough. We had a hell of a time the first go around trying to get footage for this one. I do have some footage already that I've bought because we've been lucky and we've gotten some support from some of our fine donators and people out there. We have a few people who help us out with large amounts every now and again, which is great. I couldn't do any of this without those people, with everybody. I mean, even people who donate small amounts, even people like Man Hydra who donate their time, and Fritzy who does the archive shows and stuff. Everybody's donating something in some way, and even if you're just telling people about the shows, even if you're just being here every day, that helps as well. I mean, even people that don't donate, but they're there every day in the chat room, there for every show, don't miss a show, don't miss an archive, that's doing something, But we had a hell of a time finding footage before, and for this one, I'm sort of doing it sort of different. This one is not really going to be per se about the CMP. This one is truly going to be about the secret right, even though the topics and the players have implications with the CMP. The Jesuit involvement in the First American Civil War, and how they're creating a new one using the same players the Jesuit order to do that. And then the second part is going to get into the Johnny Gosch, what was it called? The Franklin cover-up. Yeah, the whole Johnny Gosch. Johnny Gosch is, of course, Jeff Gannon, the male porn star. And what's interesting, I don't know if I've talked about this on the show, I probably have, but you gotta forgive me, man. This shit, when you do all these radio shows and you talk about this stuff and then you talk about the people it sort of runs together, and I'm guilty of that in my own personal life. I either end up telling people, my friend, I know I drive my friends nuts with this, but I end up either telling my friends or family members shit I've already told them, or I'll be like, yeah, you remember, I told you that, right? And they're like, you never fucking told me that in your life, dude. I'll be like, yeah, I did. I told you like 3 times. No, you didn't. See, I mean, so it all runs together, but I can't remember the gentleman's name off the top of my head, but there's some research that I found, and the guy who allegedly, I guess, was involved in the kidnapping or was the kidnapper of Johnny Gosch was also the guy who founded the Temple of Set in America, and he was involved in funneling big amounts of cash back and forth to people like Adana Khashoggi, who again. It may have been Michael Aquino. I think you're right. I think God damn, Rick, you're a motherfucker, man. You're on top of shit all the time, dude. Rick's a hell of a researcher. You got a fucking memory like I wouldn't believe. And I'm not just an anon. I'm not just an anon at? Where the fuck is he at? Is he in here listening? He was in the chat room. Look, anyway, let me tell you why you can see me face to face. I don't have to tell you on air. I'm not just an anon. I don't know who the fuck you are. I have my suspicions that you might be Goro or Gorodaki or whatever his name is. But we'll leave that alone for now. If you are Goro, then, all right, thumbs up. But either way, I'm not just an anon. I'm putting out a vote to you. You need a website, my friend. You need a fucking website. Rick, you need one too, but I'm not just an anon. He needs a fucking website. That guy puts so much good stuff, good links and good things into the chat room and stuff. That guy needs a website. Maybe we can get, maybe if he doesn't know how to do it or something, maybe we can get Man Hydra to help him out or something. But he needs a fucking website. But he drops a lot of Goro stuff in there, Gorodaki, and the Gorodaki guy's like, nobody knows who he is. I'm like, I was kind of fucking with him one night. I was like, dude, are you really Goro? And he didn't respond. I was like, you might be fucking Goro. But because nobody knows who that guy is. But anyway, I think it was Michael Aquino. I'm pretty sure it was. Anyway, this guy was like involved in setting up the Temple of Set and all that. And then, of course, we've got the other stuff, Adana Khashoggi. We've got, it was Michael Aquino. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, thank you for reminding me of that name. I haven't gotten to that. I haven't gotten to that point of making that part of the film yet. Because I got to get more footage. But that's what me and Lee are going to try to do. I just got to come up with more money for it, so I don't end up having to. Because I almost had to hawk a kidney and sell Lee my firstborn to get the first movie out. I don't want to have to do that again. That's why Lee was the executive producer on the first film, because he bought me a video card, he bought me a monitor, and he bought me all kinds of shit when I was doing stuff. I was like, dude, I can't afford to pay you back, right? Am I gonna have to fucking give you a kidney or something? Lee's like, Josh, don't worry about it. I want to kick these guys' fucking asses. I'm like, all right, because Lee's wound up. He's great. I mean, and we've talked about it. I just don't have time. We talked about wanting to do an uncensored show on Oracle sometime. That'd be great. I mean, not on Oracle, on my network sometime. That'd be I'm gonna be. I don't know what day yet, but one day next week I'm going to be on the Lee Rogers program again. I used to go on there once a month, and then we just quit getting in contact with each other, or whatever else it might be. We just all got busy with our own stuff. But he's talking about, because every time I go on there, it sucks, because there's so many goddamn commercials that once Lee and I really get rolling, it's over. Because, it's 3 hours, but you get like an hour and a half fucking airtime by the time you get all the commercials out. So Lee's going to have their tech guy over there, Aaron, write a script up for the streaming. I guess it's Sam Broadcast. I guess that's what they're still using. That's what I use. Where it's commercial free, and when Lee and I want to take a break, we can just play tunes like I do, and we can basically just kind of go through uninterrupted for 3 hours on the show. And boy, I tell you what, that's going to make those haters over there pissed off, isn't it? You know it is. Because they're going to have fucking 3 hours of my ass. But, Lee's a great guy. He's 100% genuine. And he's 100% the only guy I trust in all this. I don't really trust anybody anymore, to be honest with you. Although I will have to say this. I tell you a couple of people who haven't given me any reason really not to trust them yet. I've been kind of touch and go on Chris Everard for a while, even though I've had I've interviewed Chris twice, two times, and talked to him off air a few times, and he's a very, very sweet, nice guy, just really pleasant fellow to talk to. But some of the stuff he was kind of going down with his research kind of seemed to me that I don't know, that he may be getting ready to shit the bed, because a lot of researchers do that. They're good for a few years, and then they shit the bed and they go into the fear paradigm. But I recently watched his newest documentary, the fourth installment of the Illuminati 4, Brotherhood of the Beast. I've watched there's 4 parts of it. I've watched 3 parts of it so far. I got to tell you, man, the guy really fucking stepped. I don't know if you guys have seen this. Maybe I'm the last one. I usually get Everard's films when they first come out, but that one, I just didn't have the money to spend 30. Well, I guess I wouldn't have to pay for his films if I didn't want to. He's told me several times, don't pay for my films. Just, call me and tell me, you want to get me on. I'll send you one for free. But I just feel bad about doing that, because I'm horrible at asking people for things. It sucks to have to get on air and ask for donations. It sucks. I hate it. That's, and I definitely can't with good faith try to sell advertising. I can't do that. I cannot get up here and say, buy this fucking stuff that you don't need, when you could just as well take those worthless Federal Reserve notes and go down to the local Walmart or the fucking thrift shop or whatever it is, and blow that fucking money on shit you don't need without me having to tell you to. See, I have too much logic, I think is what it is. I have too much logic. They say nice guys finish last. And maybe that is why I'm finishing last all the time, is because I'm such a nice guy. But you know what? At least I can sleep at night, motherfucker. I don't know how some of these guys sleep. I don't know how Alex Jones sleeps with himself at night, other than the fact that he's a fucking demon inhabiting a human's body. And I 100% believe he is. You can laugh at me all day long. I think that motherfucker is a demon inhabiting a human's body. And I'll tell you, I've told this story before, and I'll tell it again. Back in 2006, David Icke, too. I don't trust David Icke as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, before I get to that story, Everard's Brotherhood of the Beast, I watched the first 3 parts of it. I got to tell you, I thought it was fucking awesome. I thought it was his most focused work. I thought it had some of this. And you know what? He's done this. I think it was Alien Kabbalah. There was a little piece in there. It was something that I told him when I had him on my show, and he put it in there. And I was really proud when we did Sea Right Volume 1, because Sea Right Volume 1 was the first time, the first documentary, I challenge you to prove otherwise, it was the first time in any documentary before that the owl at Bohemian Grove had been identified as Minerva. I was the first one to do that. And to me, if you don't say that, and I've said this on the show, if you don't identify that owl as Minerva, you are covering up for the priest class, you're covering up for the Vatican, you are covering up for the Sovereign Military Order of Malta, the Jesuits, and the rest of it. And lo and behold, I'll be damned if Everard didn't discuss that and talked about the owl being Minerva in this one, and showed one of the similar pictures that I used in my film. But what got me is right out of the gates. I mean, the first segment, he comes straight out of the gates talking about Iraq being the center of ancient black magic, and how the ancient Semitic bloodlines that eventually became the Jewish bloodlines immigrated out of ancient Iraq and into, the other areas of Jerusalem and whatnot, and then set up, Kabbalistic mystery schools and stuff out of that. That was, I really liked. And he had this footage in here, and I've got to try to find this. He had this footage from, I guess it was from the BBC. I had never seen this footage before. I'd seen some of the news clips and some of the news reports where they had, shown when they were breaking into the Iraq National Museum and they were looting all the archives and everything. But this clip he had in this, man, absolutely blew my fucking mind. He had a clip of, he had the guy's name, too. He said this guy's name. It was, Brotherhood of the Beast is on VO. Oh, okay, cool. He had actually had clips where he had this guy's name. It was like the sergeant. And this guy was fucking busting into the vaults in the Baghdad Museum with a sledgehammer on tape. What in God's green fucking acres did that sealed, cemented vault in the Iraq National Museum have to do with weapons of mass destruction, terrorism, Al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden, or flying airplanes into buildings on 9/11? You answer that question for me. I want to know. Not a goddamn thing, because none of this does, because it's all a sham. None of it has to do with any of that. And it becomes more and more, as I see I find what I'm doing with my own research, I see what other researchers are finding, and we're all finding that it's amazing how we're all finding similar things, but we're finding little different aspects. We're all coming to almost the same conclusions, and we're finding similar things. And that is that, again, as I've been talking about, this stuff is so much darker and so much more sinister than we even think it is. And I think that it's going to continue to be that way. And what was striking to me was when they busted open the vaults and they went inside the vault, lo and behold, what did they find? Well, on top of the cylinder seals and all the stuff we're doing, but thousands and thousands of genie bottles, the jinn. That's what they call them in Saudi Arabia. They call them the jinn. Genie bottles. Some of them going back thousands of years, back to the time of Solomon, back to ancient Sumeria. Those, I got news for you, folks. Those were sealed in that concrete room for a reason, because those things contain spirits. And he went on and he showed how there was, the genie bottle at in front of the owl at Bohemian Grove. I think it's interesting that there was all that, what was it, Aladdin and all that stuff that Disney put out. I mean, I started thinking about that, saying, okay, well, that makes sense why Disney would put all these, cartoon movies out about Aladdin and stuff now. And then I started thinking about all these stories that we'd seen recently that we covered on the show about Like the one we had the other day about the guy, the 28-year-old Saudi whose dad had him chained up down in the basement because he's got this woman's voice coming out of him. I mean, it's insane. And I started thinking about that. It was an aspect I didn't think. I started going, wait a second. If all those bottles, genie bottles, gin bottles, those were down there for a reason. It's the same thing why they call alcohol what they used to call. They don't call it so much anymore, but you'll still see it occasionally. You know why they call alcohol? They call it spirits. They call it, you have put a link to, I must have missed out on that. I'm not always in the chat room all the time, so I don't always get to see everything that gets, I don't always get to see everything gets put in there. But, I was completely blown away after thinking, wow, if these guys got all these things, where are they now? Have they been released? Did they release all of these? Oh, you just did now. Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, definitely. Everyone needs to watch it. I seriously thought it was his most focused work yet. I haven't finished. I mean, no bed shitting so far that I saw. Do we know? I'll get to your question in just a second, Rick. Do we know if he revealed the true identity of the Antichrist yet? That's what I'm waiting on. Because that's where we need to find out if the bed shitting comes into play or not. Because if the motherfucker says Barack Obama is the Antichrist, I don't know if I can live with that. I mean, hey, maybe he is. What do I know? Have I heard of T-Bone Ainge bottles? No. What is that, Rick? I'll keep talking here while you're typing. But do you know what it is? Let me tell me what it is. T-Bone Ainge bottles. Because I see you're saying, I wonder if the gin bottles are connected to the T-Bone Ainge bottles in Valden. The bottles that are used to capture people's souls. What is Voden? Voodoo. Okay. Oh, T-Bone Ainge bottles. The bottles they're used to capture people's souls in voodoo. Aha. Oh. I mean, what do you think? I mean, do you really need me to answer that? Because I think you got your answer right there, dude. Of course, it's got to be related, no question. I mean, most of these always are. I mean, they're the striking similarities that we see between things that and customs and things that happen in tribes in one part of the world, and then we see that tribes on the other part of the world that had no way to communicate with each other were doing similar rituals, similar customs and things that they did, So I would say, yeah, more than likely, it's probably what it is. Most definitely. So it makes me wonder. I mean, the real question that we have to have, and I know that a lot of people don't like it when this gets brought up. Hell, I cringe at it sometimes bringing it up. But I'm trying to get over that. I'm trying to get over. I mean, there are certain things that I'm even myself, I've kind of been like, all right, well, maybe I should maybe not think about that, or maybe, oh no, that's hogwash. I won't think about that. I don't want to entertain that. Like the end times, doom and gloom, Armageddon stuff, and Book of Revelation stuff. I tell you, I've been really so against that because I believe that us giving our energy to those things by the belief or the fear that those scenarios could actually play out is what will cause them to play out. And I have the sneaking suspicion that those motherfuckers in the priest class and those guys who wrote that goddamn book know that. And that's what all this stuff is for. And I know we have evidence in spades that they are trying to engineer the end times. They are trying to engineer, the Book of Revelation scenario. They're doing their damnedest to do that. I think that's what they're doing. I think all world events are steered towards that trying to happen, is what I think. And I think that's how they're going to try to prove to people that there isn't a God or there isn't a Jesus or whatever have you, by causing these things to play out and causing these scenarios. And then when Jesus doesn't show up, they'll say, ha, see, Where's your fucking Jesus now, motherfuckers? We rule, whether or not, that Jesus is going to come down to that or whatever, I don't know. But I will say this, and again, this is so, it's sometimes into stuff. I mean, I know I seem like the type of guy where I'm, because of the stuff I talk about, that I'm into weird shit, and weird shit just doesn't faze me. But man, I got to tell you, I've never gotten jaded to this stuff. I mean, it still shocks the shit out of me every day. I mean, because I always try to stay grounded and take a step back from this stuff and look at it and say, I mean, I know all of it's real. I know it's real. There's no question. Mama, I've seen it, man. I've seen too much of this stuff. I've experienced too much of this stuff. I've known people that have been inside and experienced this stuff, personally. Hell, my great uncle, dude, I need to do some research on him to get a Freedom of Information Act request on him. I can't remember his first name. I had to find out from my dad, but they called him Uncle Mule. He died before I was born. But my grandfather was telling me stories right up until he died back in 2004. My great uncle, so it would have been my grandfather's brother, was, and this is from my dad, from my grandfather. He was in the CIA MK Ultra LSD experiments. He was a test victim. I've never looked into it and tried to find any. I mean, I guess I don't know how to go about those channels. Do I get a Freedom of Information Act request, or what can I do? I want to find out some info on it, though. I feel like I need to do that. Somebody in my family was in the MK Ultra LSD experiments. I mean, my God, I should have already looked into this. But my point is that, I mean, I know it seems like, because of the things that I talk about, that sometimes this stuff just becomes passé to me. Well, it's not passé to me, and the big thing that's hard for me to talk about sometimes. And I'll present this to you and ask you guys what you think. Are we coming on the brink of a spiritual war? Is the culmination of all of this stuff, is the culmination of 2012 and Mayan prophecy and the book of Revelations and all the stuff we see in the news and the New World Order and, the master plan of the Illuminati? I mean, I really am starting to think, personally, just from doing the research, I don't necessarily want to believe this. I'm not touting this as, an absolute end-all fact, but I think that, I mean, more and more I look at this stuff, I think we're heading towards a massive, massive spiritual warfare. The combination of the spirit world revealing itself in the three-dimensional plane and existing between the spiritual realms and our physical reality realm clashing, in some big crescendo of a war or whatever you want to call it. That just seems to me more and more where all this stuff is heading to. It's bizarre. It's crazy. But when you look at the evidence and you see the things that are happening, you see this massive culmination towards this. And another thing that was interesting, and I don't know whether Chris Everard heard me say this on my show and put this in his film, because I have noticed, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but I have noticed the past couple of films he's taken stuff that I've said on my show and he's put it into his films, which is great. We all take stuff from each other. I hear people on radio all the time take things that I said on the show the day before and repeat them on the show the very next day. I'm not naming names. I'm not trying to call anybody out. I'm just saying it's an absolute fact. You guys know it. You probably know it. You probably heard it. But I have literally heard other radio hosts out there take things that I said on the show the day before, verbatim, and repeat them the next day. I hear it all the time. It happens all the time, which is just weird to me because I don't know what I don't know. I'm not really not that special. But anyway, the point is, I have told this story before. This was probably late 90s, 1998, 1999. And I was looking at, and I don't remember, it's a website, it's probably long gone. It was it was a real, like, for the times, it was a real, sort of GeoCities conspiracy tinfoil times classic type of website. You know what I mean? It was like real deep, dark shit. But I remember reading in this website in like 98, 99, I remember it's saying, and everyone talked about this in that new film, Brotherhood of the Beast, Illuminati 4. It said that in the year 2000, in 2001, that whatever one of these extraterrestrial races that was going to be coming to take over the planet was going to be spraying aerosols into the atmosphere and then using electromagnetic waves, I guess something like HARP. And what they were going to do is this would facilitate them being able to block out the soul, the human soul, etherical energy in the communication with a higher power, which would defeat praying, meditation, all this, and thus would turn us into a morally corrupt, just dead society. And this was a part of some, ET extraterrestrial master plan. And I read this on some website, 9790, and I've mentioned it on my show several times that I remember reading that. And lo and behold, Everard, and he didn't give a source for that information, so it made me wonder, did you get that story, or did you hear me talk about it? Because he mentions that in the new film, and he says, there's some researcher that has said HARP does this and it blocks out, communication with the spirit. And I went, oh, okay. That's similar to what I've said. But it does make you wonder, it does make you wonder if that is, and I forget my point for bringing that up. It makes you wonder if that's indeed what's going on. And it's not really a joke. It's kind of a real point, but I got one for you. You know the real way that Al Qaeda is phony and CIA creation. You want to know the number one reason why? Well, number one, Muslim people are not stupid. The whole 99 Virgins thing. You got to watch that movie Postal. One of my favorite video games of all time is Postal 2, where you go around, put shotguns in cats' butts and blow people's heads off, and fucking Al Qaeda's running around. You go around, chop people up with fucking. So it's just great. It's just mayhem. But they made a movie out of it. I watched it. It was like a real action movie, and it was it was awesome because at the very beginning of it, you've got pee people. Yeah, you piss on them and stuff. Yeah, there's one on the Apocalypse Weekend in the expansion pack. You got gonorrhea, and you go around fucking peeing. You're like, oh fuck, oh shit, and like your piss is all green and gooey, and you have to go to this Vindicure thing and piss in it, and then it gives you penicillin. But anyway, at the beginning of the movie, right, it starts out with two guys in the hangar, two Muslim guys, right, and I guess these are the 9/11 hijackers, and they're in the airplane and they're flying. They're on their way to the towers, and he says, I told this story before. I got to tell it again, but he says, I don't care. Let's just go. We fly the plane into the building and we get our 100 virgins, and the guy says, oh, it is 99 virgins. And he's like, no, it is 100 virgins. He's like, no, it's 99. He's like, well, 99, 100, doesn't matter. You're still getting a bunch of virgins, eh? And he's like, well, what if it's 10? And he's like, shit, let me get the big man on the phone and I will see it. He gets his cell phone out. They're flying the airplane in the World Trade Center. And he's like, yes, Osama. Yes, he wants to know about the virgins. And he tells him, oh, well, you only get 10 virgins now because there's been too many martyrs, And he's like, fuck this shit. We are going to the Bahamas. And he starts turning the plane around, and then the rednecks kick the fucking door down. The big fat redneck Americans kick the door down and come in, and they ended up flying the plane in the building. But the point is, was there a point? I did have a point. There was a point to that. There was a point why I derailed to that. Now I don't remember what it was. Nonetheless, you're checking the website to see if there's an archive show. Kind of why we're doing this right now, kind of why we're here. We had stream issues all weekend, and then today, lo and behold, the stream was down for like 12 hours. And so it finally came back up at like 1 o'clock, and honestly, at that point, I didn't feel like trudging through the day's news after 12 hours of other shit and stuff like that. So I just decided to do this. I haven't done one of these in a while, and I've talked about doing it, and they're really good to make YouTube videos out of, and make clips, and I haven't done one in a while, and I haven't done one here since I had the new studio set up. So I figured I'd get on here tonight and do one. So that's why we're here. And I did have I did have another point. I did have a point somewhere I was going with that. And I can't remember what it was. Damn it, I hate when that happens. Well, I'll have to think of it here in a minute. Anyway, how long have we been rolling here? Was anybody was I talking about spiritual war? Yeah, well, I was talking about that. Yeah, spiritual war. But I went on to something else after that. I can't remember what it was. People not being dumb. Yeah. Well, yeah. There you go, DJ. That's close to what I was going to say. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do you know why you know that Al Qaeda isn't real? That was the question. That was it. All right. Thank you, DJ. You got me back on my train of thought. All right. Yeah. Okay. There you go. The number one reason why we know Al Qaeda is real, and Muslims aren't dumb people. If there really were suicide bombers and people that want to fly airplanes and stuff, motherfuckers would have already flown something into that goddamn antenna array up in Gakona, Alaska. You know, how come somebody didn't fucking bomb the shit out of that? How come somebody didn't fly a fucking plane? You know what? As far as I can tell, I'm telling you right now, you can disagree with me all you want, but as far as I can tell, keeps coming back. That fucking thing is the biggest goddamn threat to all humanity in existence that there is. And yes, I know there are more of them, but that's the main one. I mean, there was one. Russia had one before us, but it wasn't as powerful. The Sura, S-U-R-A, Sura ionospheric heater, which coincidentally, if you look on like Google Earth, you have the tip of Russia here, right? And the tip of Alaska here. And I shit you not, man, you can put a fucking ruler between it. And the Sura ionospheric heater, Russia's here, and the one in Gakona, Alaska, they're fucking directly lined up with each other. And that one was up, I don't know, 20 years before ours was, where the HARP was. And then there's the Arecibo thing down in down around, you know, the Caribbean and stuff, which they had in the movie GoldenEye. Remember, we saw the movie GoldenEye. It's in that. It's in Contact, Carl Sagan's Contact movie. But anyway, the point is, I mean, if this thing is doing what we think it is, and it's trapping out communication with a higher power, or as Chris Everard put it, it's affecting the ether, which of course the ether, that's what the ether is, the etheric energy field that surrounds the Earth. And I find that highly interesting too, that you have the ether and then you have this etheric energy field, and a lot of these ancient writings and stuff that talks about Atlantis and the Lemurians. And I don't have all the information on this, so every time I bring it up, it's sketchy. I've just can only tell you what I've read about in certain things. I know that John Dee was told something about this in some of the channeling sessions that he did while he was under Queen Elizabeth, when he was in those massive scrying sessions where this info was, I talked about this on the Moonbat show last week, massive info was being downloaded into his brain. And one of the things that was talked about was that there was this etherical barrier, the ether, that was placed around Earth to keep Earthlings trapped in, like a bubble. And I think that what we even think we know about space should be into question. You know, I think things are infinitely bigger than we think they are. But that's what's amazing about humans is we see. I mean, we're so tiny. We're just like a fraction of a speck of things in the grand scope of the universe. But yet we have this ability to think and see things on such a huge scale. And I think that's where this stuff of humans trying to become gods and mimic the gods comes from. I think that's part of it. But you know, I think that the HARP facility, man, I mean, if it is what we think it is, and it's from what we can see, and if it's true about this etheric barrier going around, what they're essentially doing is that they are, by raising the ionosphere and heating the ionosphere, they're able to break up the ether, the etheric barrier around the Earth. And by doing that, it's essentially, and then again, I'm going by the stuff that I've read about, you know, what talks about the ancient Atlantean times, how they were put here to trap this race of people here. And that if that etheric barrier is messed with, then all life on the planet can perish and die if that etheric barrier is tampered with or messed with in any way. Now, that would make a whole lot of sense towards what we're being sold on phony global warming, wouldn't it? Because we see the evidence that they're trying to get off this rock. We see the evidence that they're trying to terraform other planets. They sure as fuck haven't. And we hear that you can get to the moon, but you can't get past it. And that to the moon and back is as far as you can get out of the Earth's separation. Then we can get into the stuff about the moon being an artificial, an artificial satellite. Of course, its rotation is unnatural. It's not a natural rotation around the Earth that it has. It acts as if it's a true satellite. That's what it is. So my question is that if it is true that there was this etheric barrier, the ether, this etheric barrier around the Earth, and that by blasting it with electromagnetic waves and pushing it out farther into space, they are then breaking up the atmosphere, which is causing ozone and radiation and X-rays and gamma rays and stuff to come through the atmosphere and causing, heating, and then they're spraying chemtrails and all this stuff to cover up that, and then selling us on global warming and the rest of it. I mean, I really do. More and more than I look at it, I see that HAARP thing as one of the biggest threats, if not the biggest threat to humanity. I mean, I would really be interested in seeing what the behavior patterns of all humans would be if that thing was shut off for a 24-hour period or a 48-hour period or a week. I would be interested to see. Because I swear to God, and I know every one of you in that fucking chat room right now will back me up on this, there are some fucking days in your town, and not all the time. Some days I see it here, and then some days I'll see Guyman say, oh, fuck, man, they got HAARP going on today? Because some days people are just fucking crazy. It's not all the time, but some days, man, you'll look outside, you'll go outside, and you'll see those fucking HAARP-blasted clouds, and people will just fucking act batshit. I mean, every motherfucker you come in contact with, you'll just be walking down the street, you'll be walking to the store, and somebody looks at you like, and you're like, what the fuck, dude? Everybody. I mean, look at you, like they want to kill, like you just literally got off the fucking boat from Mars or something. I don't know what it is. I mean, the only thing that I can think of is that they are affected, but it's almost like they live, isn't it? It's almost as if, you're not physically having to wear sunglasses, but it's almost as if once you figure out what's going on and you take the veil off and you lift the veil over your eyes and you can actually see the world for where it is, then you've got the sunglasses on, and then, it's like and I noticed this too, and I know you guys have noticed, have you ever noticed, like you don't have to say a word to some people sometimes, and they will whip their neck around and look at you, and they fucking know that you know what's going on? You ever experienced that? That's fucking crazy. I have met people before and gotten respect from people before because I'm just saying stuff or presenting myself or talking, and they automatically snap. I'll see them be a dick to every motherfucker, and they'll get to me and they'll be like, yes, sir, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. Because they fucking know. Because when they see that light in your eyes, man, and they see that you're not a zombie, it scares the shit out of them. Because it does. It scares the shit out of them. When they see that you're not a zombie and you're not a sheep and you're not just going to go in the fucking cattle, and it scares the fuck out of them, dude. They're like, oh, shit, we better fucking be nice to him. He may pull out a fucking AK right here. They really do. They really do. They look at you like that because they're so used to people that are, that are just, everybody's, cheeseburger. I'm going to get my cheeseburger. I mean, you see people at the gas station that fill up their gas, like, a pack of Marlboro Reds. Excuse me. I mean, they're just everybody. You walk around and see fucking dead people. I see dead people. I do. I see fucking dead people all the time, dude. Dead people are everywhere. They're not just in the graveyard. They're not just in the morgue. There's grave people. There's dead people at your job. There's dead people in your neighborhood. There's dead people next door. There's dead people walking down the sidewalk. And ultimately, that's, again, another one of these revelations, another one of these things where ultimately I don't think it's like, I don't necessarily think it anymore that it's what you know or what you don't know when it comes to information, because, I mean, dude, you know, if you want to sit around and say, oh, man, you know, I don't know enough, well, you'll never know enough. No one of us will ever know enough, but we try every day. But I'll tell you what, I don't think it's what you know or how much you know. I just think it's the fact that you know something. And I think that's enough. I really do. I really think that once you're able to switch off from that, you're able to switch off that mechanism of having to work and completely rely and be dedicated to the system. And, you know, I'm not one of those, I'm certainly not one of those hypocritical people that says, you know, we need to all live off the grid and be completely free of the, I mean, show me how to do it and I will fucking do it. Show me where to sign, buddy. Show me how to live completely off this system, and Bubba, I will do it in 2.5 seconds. But the problem is, all the ways to not live inside their system require what? A whole fuck ton of this. A whole fuck ton of Federal Reserve notes. And what little of those that you can meek and scrape by, you're using to, you know, surely survive. Or do what you got to do. I mean, I hate material possessions. I don't have any materials. I don't even own a car. I don't have anything. You know what I have? I have music equipment, computers, and cameras. That's it. That's all I want. All I want is what I need. All any of us should ever need is what we need to do whatever our particular own good work is. And I don't mean that in the, you know, I mean, oh, doing the good work for the God's work, doing God's work. That's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. I mean, everybody has their own good work to do. If your own good work is playing music, then fucking do it. You know, get your shit and get the best shit you can get your hands on and fucking play that shit as best as you can. And fucking do it. Doesn't matter if there's somebody out there that's better. It's always going to be somebody that's better than you. There's always going to be somebody that can outplay you, out fucking, you know, or if you're doing video and stuff like that, there's going to be somebody that's going to have a slicker video or, but that doesn't matter either. You got to fucking do what the best that is that you can do. That's all that matters. And that's the whole thing is getting to that point. And I live off the grid as much as I can, you know, in the most ways that I can. And I know each and every one of you probably does. My thing is, if you have, I probably have, I don't know, I probably have, let's see, I have 3 or 4 or 5 things. 3 or 4 or 5 things that everybody else in the world does or has that I don't have. And to me, that's, you know, I don't vote. I don't own a car. So it means I don't have to pay these goddamn fucking insurance companies any money. Fuck you, insurance companies. I refuse to give those motherfuckers my money. I started figuring that out when I was like 16, 17. But you got to get a job so you can pay insurance. What do you mean? I've always had too much logic for my own good. What do you mean? I got to get a job to pay money to some motherfuckers for something in case I need it? Fuck you. Fuck you. I'm not living my life like that. I'm sorry, Bubba. You know, I'm going to pay you money for something in case I need it? No, don't work like that. I may have fucking fell off the turnip truck yesterday, but I wasn't born yesterday. No way. What else? I don't own a cell phone. I don't own a cell phone. Don't own a cell phone. Won't own a cell phone. Refuse to own one. I don't have a slave job. Again, don't have a car. Don't have a driver's license. So, you know, all those little things, you know, I do what I can, but I still pay my taxes. If I get paid for labor and it gets taken out of my check, you know, I fill out my taxes. I send my taxes every year to Uncle Sam. Why? Because that's not my fight, dude. I don't pick. You know, some people pick the battle, some people pick the. But my thing is, they're gonna get that shit either way, and they're gonna get it out of your ass one way or the other. But you know, again. But you hear these people like, well, live off the grid. You need to get yourself a cabin out in the middle of nowhere with a bug-out bunker and a bug-out shelter and a bunch of ammo and some guns and some Hugo from Ted Anderson and some weapons and get yourself some solar heating and water and Berkey water filters and all this stuff. And I'm going, man, all that shit you just named, I won't see the fucking Skrilla it costs to get all that shit in 10 years, dude. And not only that, all the shit that you just named that I would spend on getting solar flares and you know, it's not solar flares, but solar panels and fucking renewable and all this stuff. And I mean, dude, that's a new drum set for me. You know what I mean? That's a new guitar. That's a new microphone. That's a new high-def camera. That's a new computer. And I know you might say, well, that's pretty trivial. I mean, you're not going to be able to eat a guitar or a drum set or a camera when the shit goes down. Yeah, but dude, when the shit goes down, the shit goes down. And honestly, anybody out there who has any illusions about surviving this fucking thing when it finally goes down, I'm sorry to have to tell you. When it finally goes down, there ain't going to be any survivors. The whole point of the game that these people are playing is that there is no survivors. Have you seen the way they treat people that go and fight over in their wars? Have you seen the way, obviously you've seen the way they treat them. They do not factor in as a contingency those guys coming back. And when they come back, that's not their problem. Because they're cannon fodder. They're meat for the grinder, dude. If you have fought in a war or you have served in the military and you've come back and you've been treated like a pile of garbage from the military or from the the veterans, the VU, Veterans Union, Veterans Association with VA, whatever it is. I mean, it sucks, and I feel bad for you, but at the same time, I find it highly, highly hard to pity you because you ought to known ahead of time what you were getting into before you did it. That's a real thing. If we were actually educated and self-thinking in this country, we wouldn't have all these veterans coming back. I mean, if everybody, and I think that has gotten, it's getting to that point where, people aren't volunteering anymore. That's why they have to have things like 9/11 every now and again to get people to willfully volunteer. And I know they've got all this, all this stuff, this mandatory service thing and stuff like that. But honestly, folks, I mean, look, a lot of this news and stuff that comes out, a lot of stuff that we have to cover, and a lot of stuff that I'm forced to cover because it's relevant and it's pertinent with the news. I got to tell you, don't think for a second that the mainstream media and the government, even the government, won't pass bills and enact bills in which they will never enforce and never even use just to scare the shit out of people and to get people to voluntarily submit to what they want. And I think that whole civilian, the civilian mandatory thing, I mean, they very well could instate a new draft. But I think a lot of that, they really are trying to hype that, and they really are, trying to get people angry and up in arms with it. That's the main thing. I really think they are trying to enrage the public and get people pissed off, mad, and angry. But that, again, I'm just not gonna, I'm not gonna spend what little money I can get trying to live in a bug out bunker, live out in the middle of nowhere on some land. I know people that are, I know guys that are talking about doing it. I know guys that are right now, thinking about doing it and stuff. And my thing is that you got to live in the now. Right now is all you have. Doesn't matter what happened in the past. Doesn't matter what's going to happen in the future. Doesn't matter what's going to happen in 2012. Doesn't matter what's going to happen in 2014. It doesn't matter. All that matters is that every day, while you still have a world and a country and a place to exist in and have somewhat of freedoms, again, the freedoms we do have, we're not even using because we're too busy sitting around bitching about the freedoms we might not have. That's why I just don't relate to, Patriot Radio and Truth Radio of, hey, I'm going to get up here and do my 5-minute segment before we go to a commercial, but I'm not going to cuss. What do you mean you're not going to cuss? Fuck that. Time is short, man. You don't have much time left on this planet. You should be saying what the fuck you want to say at all times and not worrying about it. It drives me absolutely crazy. Man, it drives me crazy about my buddy Lee Rogers, man. Love that guy to death. I would take a bullet for that dude. But God damn it. You hear him when he comes on my show or comes on the network, and you should hear him when he and I talk on Skype. It's motherfucker this, fuck, please. I'm like, Lee, why don't you do that on show? Josh, I got to keep it clean for the for the radio network. I got to keep it clean for the micro FMs and stuff. I can't be talking like that on air. I'm like, dude, no. Time is short, man. You got to fucking say what you want to say. And I know that I lose a lot of people, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I just can't even put up with that Reeves and his potty mouth. It's so unprofessional. Fuck you. Fuck you. You know what unprofessional is? Unprofessional is my foot in your fucking ass. That's what unprofessional is. Because I just don't care and I don't have time to care. All you have is now. All you've ever had is now. That's it. And it blows my mind to hear these guys, get up there and talk about freedom and talk about freedom of speech and this, that, and the other, but you're not even exercising the freedoms you have now. You have right now have the freedom to say whatever the fuck you want to say without fear of Darth Vader ski mask cops. Folks, listen to me right now. I want to tell you something right now, folks. If you open your mouth and say anything, folks, it's a good chance these guys will kick in your door, come in here, rape your wife, have sex with your kitten, pour Drano and gasoline down your asshole, and have sex with you and film it and send it to Kelso Gravel. There's a good chance they could do this. But no, seriously, all right, yeah, there's a good chance either, and monkeys might fly to my fucking butt, but say what you feel, man. Put your heart into it. You don't have much time not to do that, and this is about, again, we bitch and piss and moan, oh, well, you're going to take away your freedom of speech. But don't say fuck or cunt or pussy or motherfucker or dick or cock or nigger or spick or Jew or kike or whatever. Say what the fuck you want to say, but you have a responsibility not to use those words in a hatred manner. Oh, my God. Imagine that. With language comes responsibility. Oh, you mean you mean we don't just go around banning words because I don't like them or they may hurt someone's feelings? You mean I actually have to have free speech? I actually have to have the responsibility to know that if I use one of those words in a certain manner or a certain form that I could offend someone or piss them off or maybe make them want to kill me by using it? Wow, that's too much. No, that would require too much thought and too much logic. What we need to do is just ban those words altogether and shoot people in the back of the head that use them or put them in prison. Then we won't have to worry about that. You see, but all these freedoms that we have, we have a lot of freedoms right now. Yes, I know shit's bad. Yes, I know there's a new world order. Yes, I know that Darth Vader ski masks want to fucking rape your wife and fuck your dog. I'm aware of all that. But you can still say what you want to say right now, and so you need to say it. And everybody out there should be doing something. It was like I talked about earlier in the show tonight, when Lee was like, hey, dude, go check out the chat room. He's like, Lee was go check out my chat room, go look at the fucking Fed bait and the ridiculous bullshit going on there. And I swear to God, it was like I walked in a fucking time travel machine back into the days. Yeah, do as thou will should be the whole of the law. Never fear that any God should smite you. Yeah, I'll go Crowley on that one. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm proud of that. Oh, fuck yeah. I kind of look like the beast, don't I? No, I don't like to fuck sheep, though, or men, so I couldn't fall into the Crowley act. But anyway, no, when Lee was like, hey, go check out my chat room, go look at the bullshit going on in there. And I walked in there, and I swear to God, it was like walking in a fucking time machine and going back to Oracle in 2008, or 2009, 2008, when I was on that network. I'm just going down the fucking list, dude, going down the list of people in that chat room, and it was like a who's list of every motherfucker I've ever banned in my life from a chat room. I'm not even kidding you, dude. It was every motherfucker I've ever banned from a chat room. Those are the guys that were in there. And it was like a time warp. It was just hate. Me and Guyman, I mentioned this earlier in the show. By the way, I brought you up, Guyman, before you were here watching tonight. No, because you and I were talking about this on Facebook one night. This whole subculture now of just retarded haters online. They become their own subculture. They've become their own little entity of just haters, and that's the problem when we have people like myself, people like Lee, or other people who are doing legitimate research and have legitimate questions about people that are involved in groups like the Council for National Policy or connections to people that were involved in Iran-Contra or secret societies and the rest of this stuff. Those guys poison the well for us, because then we get lumped into the same category as they are, and we get called haters when we have actual legitimate questions. It's like the guys who put out the shit. And look, and I know Freeman was doing a lot of this. I know there's a lot of Freeman fans out there, but you know, nobody's infallible, including me. But the whole thing with Ron Paul being a Freemason, that was such bullshit. You know, that weak Bill Maher thing and some other stuff. But nobody ever points out the connections to the Jesuits, his connection to the John Birch Society, supporting the John Birch Society, the fraternity that he was in college. What I'm saying is that people zero in on, oh, he's a Freemason. Well, there's really no connection, there's really no proof that Ron Paul's a Freemason. He very well could be. My God, his connections to the priest class, his connections to Rome, Catholicism, the Jesuits, that information is there in spades. I mean, number one, Ron Paul talks about Federal Reserve in the Fed, Federal Reserve. Meanwhile, he says, oh, I support the John. His direct quote is, I support the John Birch Society. I don't think they have one stance that I disagree with. Yet we have on record, that you can go look up yourself with about 2 minutes of research, that something like 3 or 4 of the guys that were in the beginning of starting up the John Birch Society were also CFR members who had a hand in starting the Federal Reserve. Now that we can prove. You know, we don't have to resort to Ron Paul's a Freemason, but see, when we come with real evidence, they put us in the same category as this subculture of haters. Well, I'm telling you right now, with Seeger Right 2 and Lee's film he's making on the Seeger, we're going to put an end to that. We're going to put an end to that. We're going to separate the wheat from the chaff. The same thing with the whole Alex Jones thing. You know, people come to the table with real legitimate questions about Alex Jones, his connection to Adnan Khashoggi, who owns GCN and Genesis Intermedia and all these other Genesis front groups. And by the way, I have that 100% proven in spades now, the connection to John Gray and all that. We have all that, but then people going to come with that weak-ass argument. And you know me, I would never defend Alex Jones, but I will defend him on this, one thing alone, and that is the fact, Alex Jones and GCN are owned by ABC. No, you dumb shits. They are not owned by fucking ABC. Everybody still tries to fucking play that goddamn card. Anybody with a bunch of money and enough backing can rent satellite time on the ABC Star Guide satellite and have their show. I could. If some big fat cat came along and said, I want to pay to have your show up on, Star Guide, we can have it. You pay for the time, dude, and your show gets broadcast, and then you get into it's a subscriber book that goes to radio stations, and it goes to the programming director at the radio station, and the programming director every month gets his little book, and he goes through it, and he gets to decide what shows in his programming block he's going to tune to that frequency for those particular time blocks each day. And if that person hears your show and decides he wants to pick up your show, decides what he wants for next, then he tunes his frequency into the satellite every day and carries his show on his AM or FM affiliate and broadcasts out. That's how it works. But see, we come with real information. We come with real bombshell facts, and then we get lumped in with the same category with the people that say Alex Jones is controlled by ABC. It's just complete bullshit. And that's what's time. It's time for all that to end, you know. Ron Paul's alleged connection to Freemasonry is a better sell than any connection to Jesuits, SMM. Right, because it's a better sell because that's how that people are not informed. They haven't been allowed to know this information about the Jesuits, the Sovereign Military Order, Malta, the rest of it, because if they ever find that information out, that implicates everybody else that's involved in the alleged truth movement. And Lee was showing me that stuff now where, like, Lynn Horowitz is now attacking Alex Jones. I mean, give me a break. And again, you know, I wanted to talk about this as well. Just like we've talked about every year there's been this divide and conquer thing that Jones has done. He picks a fight every goddamn year with some patriot and uses it to divide and conquer. It was 2007. It was John Scatmiller, the homo. Did I say that? No, he's not a homo. I never saw him go on an elevator with two homosexuals, and I never saw him go, "Hey, girlfriend," and prance around in front of a counter at a hotel at a conference I went to in 2008 in Addison in Dallas. I never saw that. No. But it's either here nor there. And then 2008 was Jack Blood with that whole pick to fight thing there. But I was kind of in the middle of that because Jack was going to have me on hosting a show, and then Ted Anderson threw a bitch fit and blah, blah, blah. And then 2009, of course, was the Jeff Rent situation. And then now it's Mike Rivero. And just every year, everything, this stuff breaks out. And then if you decide that you like John Scatmiller as a researcher, well, then, you can't be a part of the Alex Jones camp anymore. Or if you decide that you like Jack Blood as a researcher and a radio host, well, then you can't be a part of the Alex Jones Club anymore. You're on the bad guys team. Pick a side, buddy. Pick a side. And then if you decide that that you like Jeff Rentz, well, you can't be on the Alex Jones anymore. You got to go over to the Jeff Rentz side. And then if you decide you like Mike Rivero, even though he's supported Obama during the election, he does some good coverage on the Zionists, which I guess is completely unwelcome on GCN. Because what that does is starts getting people to go, wait a second. Here's a guy on GCN, Mike Rivero. He's talking about Zionists all the time, but yet he won't talk about. But yet Alex Jones won't talk about this stuff. I imagine that's probably what happened there. I would like to think. He got rid of Rentz first. He was heavy on the Zionist stuff. They've systematically gotten rid of everybody who's questioned anything about Zionism or any of these other deeper things that Jones won't touch. And again, I take a small solace in many things, one of which is, number one, this motherfucker's going to be exposed. I take small solace in that. Number two, I take another small solace in the fact that none of this stuff lasts forever. The fucking filth and the dark crap only exists for a period of time, and then it has to go somewhere else, and something new has to rise up. Well, I've openly made fun of Jeff Rentz's here as well. Jeff Rentz talks about Zionists and the Mossad and everything else. Jeff Rentz has a Mossad agent sitting on top of his fucking head. That's all there is to it. Of course, I get paranoid sometimes, too. I mean, I accuse my fucking dick of being an MI5 agent or fucking, a Jesuit half the time, so, I guess I can't talk. Anyway, but the point of the matter is that, this evil stuff, I mean, all these guys, look, do you really foresee a time, and I know they're grooming Alex Jones to be the next Limbaugh, and I know they have, but you know what? I think he's going to pull an O'Reilly. Bill O'Reilly. Remember Bill O'Reilly used to talk about the Illuminati and used to talk about JFK conspiracies and stuff, and then, boom, he got a paycheck. He didn't talk about this. So I think that's what they're going to do with Jones. I foresee a time where Jones goes mainstream and he doesn't talk about anything conspiratorial anymore, and I think it's moving more and more towards that. But it doesn't matter. All that matters is right now, what are you going to do right now? Because right now, I'm going to fucking expose this shit. And right now, I'm going to, expose all this Alex Jones stuff and the CMP stuff. That's what I'm going to do right now. Because I think it's important right now. It may not be what I think is important 2 years from now, but it's what I think is important right now, so I'm going to do it. And that's what it boils down to, because they, again, fear. They want us worrying about what may happen, what might happen in 2012. Well, you don't know, man. And it doesn't matter, because if your ass gets run over by a fucking milk truck tomorrow, you're not going to be around anymore to contemplate what's going to happen in 2012, are you? What's going to happen? What's going to happen after the elections? Well, who fucking cares? What happens tomorrow? What are you going to get up when you do tomorrow to affect change and trying to do something and try to wake somebody up? What are you going to do? That's what matters. That's a question you need to be asking. But again, the mechanisms of fear want us constantly worrying about, what are we going to do with this? And it's fear. And when you have no fear is the thing that makes you go, you know what, I'm not worried about any of these motherfuckers. I'm just going to do what I'm going to do. And that's going to be it. If Alex Jones becomes the next Rush Limbaugh, who do you think will become the next Alex Jones? Jason Burmas. No question. They're grooming that little Jewish son of a bitch and his kosher sausage ready for that. But he's a fucking ass clown. I mean, I don't know why anybody would listen to that. The guy has no talent. I mean, I got more talent and I fucking duck butter than he's got in his whole fucking body. That guy's a clown. Clown. Fuck. I'd rather listen to fucking Tex Mars get on the fucking thing all day and be like, good Lord, it's all about the Jews. Tex is here to tell you that the Jews are going to come and eat your soul. Yes! Tex Mars has a new video, and in this new video, if you see it, ladies and gentlemen, you will get to see Bill Clinton and Barack Obama doing this. Going up the gang signs. Yes, praise the Lord. Tex loves you, baby. You know, I don't know. I'd rather listen to fucking, oh man, who was that one host? I can't remember this chick's name. What was her name? She used to be on WTPR. I bet Guyman knows. There's this chick, man. Goddamn, she used to be on, I think, before I was doing my Saturday night show when I was on WTPRN. And, I can't remember her name, dude. I have it on the tip of my tongue. God, what was her name? She had kind of black, frizzy hair. And she talked like this. And she had no business being on radio. She was like, okay. Today we're going to talk about fluoride in the water. Okay. I don't know. And literally, that's how she was on the show. And this one time, she's like, "Oh, okay. I want to thank our guest." Not Catherine Albrecht. No, she had black frizzy hair. It's like, "I want to thank our guest for coming on. Thank you for coming on with us tonight." And then the guest goes, "Well, thank you for having me on." And she goes, it's dead silent. She goes, all the way out to the commercial. I shit you not, dude. I shit you not. I heard that shit live. Like, I don't know whether she was just like coming her panties because this guy with a nice voice was talking to her, but all she's doing is, "Thank you for coming on with us this show." And he's like, "Well, thank you very much." She goes, all the way to the break, dude. Some sad shit. Holy. Ooh, I need a cigarette. It's 3:06. I've been on here ranting and raving up. All right, that's it. That's all you get. I'm done. Hey, it was fun. Hopefully this will be in the archive so I can edit it and cut it down, put it on YouTube, and save it for posterity. But if I don't, we will do it again. This Justin TV thing looks like it's actually gotten to be better quality. It does. This quality actually looks pretty damn good on this little player. I'm seeing it. So maybe we'll do this more often. It's fun. I kind of like being able to do the shows like this. At least do them every now and again and put some. I want to start doing more of these, maybe at least once a week, and put them up on YouTube. I didn't get to do a show today, so I was really chomping at the bit to talk and be up here, but I just didn't feel like doing the radio show and doing the news thing. But anyway, please support us. We have the donate button, the chip and banner, the website. We do need your support. We're down to $0. We had to pay the bills, so I fucking hate it. I hate having to fucking. I can't do it. I'm a horrible salesman. I'm a horrible self-promoter. I can't fucking sell shit. I can't sell fucking anything. I just can't do it. You know, and I wouldn't do it if I didn't have to, but we wouldn't be able to do any of this stuff, honestly, if it wasn't for you guys. You guys make this happen. I mean, this is all there is to it. So thanks to everybody out there who has supported us, and please support us if you can. And we'll do this more often because, I mean, it looks really cool, man. It looks really good on the thing. I definitely, at first it was kind of weird. I didn't know what was going on with it because I haven't used this Justin TV thing in so long. They've changed the format a bit, but I think it definitely looks better quality. It looks really good. It looks almost high def. It's crystal clear. But all right, you guys have a good one. And theglobalreality.com is my website in case this is on YouTube later. I am Josh Reeves. I love each and every one of you. You guys have a great night. Peace out.